Why, hello, my little subjects. My name's King Wolfall. That's Reginald, the Crown Bearer. And here are my predictions for NXT Stand and Deliver. It's a very busy weekend for us wrestling fans. So if any of my reaction videos go up a day or two late, you understand why. It's a very busy weekend. So, starting things off with Chase University versus Schism. Tyler Bate is with Chase University. I'm going with Schism, partially because I'm a much bigger fan of Schism than I am Chase U. Chase U is pretty cool. I like Schism a lot more, and I think you can do a lot more with Schism, especially if you have Schism take over Chase U, and they can kind of spread their roots deeper into NXT. It seems like a more fun story than Chase U just kind of winning. Unless Schism's going to go to the main roster after WrestleMania, but I think we have enough call-ups and surprises going to be happening soon. With that, I wouldn't call Schism up right now. I would have them win, and you can continue this on till for another few months. NXT Tag Team Championship Triple Threat: Gallus, Creed Brothers, and the D'Angelo family. Gallus is retaining. There's not much to say about this one. I'd be very surprised if they lost. Maybe we'll finally get Joe Coffey back, and it'll help them defend, but we'll see. Wesley, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, Isla Dragunov, Axiom in a fatal 5-way for the North American Championship. I'm going to give it to Dragon Lee. I know he's just made his debut, but I'm not a huge fan of Wesley as a singles competitor. I think Dragon Lee is a phenomenal talent and a great get for WWE. I would strap the belt to him and let him just have some phenomenal matches with people like Axiom, who's also in the match. I would love to see Dragon Lee versus Axiom in a singles match for that belt. It would be insane. So yeah, I think Dragon Lee might be going to the main roster sooner rather than later. So if you can give him a title rundown in NXT before that happens, it would go a long way in establishing him with the more casual fan base. Fallon Henley and Kiana James with Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen versus Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. I would have Henley and James defend. I know they've kind of been sowing seeds of distrust in that unit for a little while now, but I would have them defend. I would also honestly, if you can, put the tag belts on Briggs and Jensen and just have them as a 4-person unit, and then maybe let the championships go to their head, and then they finally start distrusting each other and finally start breaking apart. But I think it's too early to take the tag belts off of Henley and James, so we're going to go with the champs on this one. Roxanne Perez, Zoe Stark, Gigi Dolan, Tiffany Stratton, Lyra Valkyria, Indy Hartwell. Ladder match for the NXT Women's Championship. I'm going with Roxanne Perez. When it wasn't sure whether she was going to be in the match or not, I was thinking they were going to put the belt on either Gigi Dolan or Tiffany Stratton. Not 100% sure why. I'm just a fan of either of them. I honestly would have made Cora Jade the next person, but she might be injured. I haven't heard a lot about Cora Jade lately. But Roxanne Perez is in the match, so she's defending. I think the story has become that she had like an anxiety attack in addition to being exhausted after her match. So she collapsed and they weren't sure about her health. And then she had a segment where she talked to Shawn Michaels about anxiety and overcoming it so that she can defend her belt. And I think that's a really fun story. It's a really nice story. As someone who suffers from awful anxiety, it's a nice story to tell. But I kind of see the writing on the wall where she's gonna be on top of a ladder and have a panic attack on top of the ladder, but then overcome it to pull the belt down, and it's gonna be like heartwarming but not genuine enough. I feel like you get what I'm saying if you have anxiety issues. It just feels kind of forced, if that makes sense. But I think she'll defend, and I'm a huge fan of Roxanne Perez, and I'm down to have a character like struggling with anxiety as a character in WWE. That's a great character to have and a great story to tell for a wrestler. So I as long as they do it right, it should be fun. So I don't see her getting called up right after Mania, so I see her defending. I see her getting called up sooner rather than later, but not right after Mania. So I see her defending, and then she'll get a call up maybe around SummerSlam. Maybe wait for the Rumble and just have her call up in the Rumble and win the Rumble. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. It could be fun, WWE. You could have fun. But I see her defending tonight, or not tonight. This is a Wednesday. Defending on Saturday, and then walking out as Of course, if she's defending, she's walking out as champion. That's how defending a belt works. But I see her defending. Braun Breaker versus Carmelo Hayes for the NXT Championship. There's zero world where keeping the belt on Braun Breaker is the right call. Carmelo Hayes could hold that belt for a whole year and people would not be upset about it. Braun Breaker won't stop winning. They're putting plants in the crowd to boo Braun Breaker because he won't stop winning. I think it's time to bring Braun Breaker to the main roster. Put the belt on Carmelo. Let Carmelo have some great matches. If you're going to have Wesley drop the North American title to Dragon Lee, have Wesley versus Carmelo Hayes for the NXT World Championship. As much as I am not a fan of Wesley as a singles competitor, as a character, he's still very good in the ring. That would be a very good match to have, as long as Wesley doesn't win the belt, because I'm not a fan of his singles character. You could have Dijak versus Carmelo Hayes for the world title, although both are heels at the moment, so that wouldn't work in that regard. But you get what I'm saying. Carmelo Hayes can have a great match with anybody, and I think putting the NXT Championship belt on him for a while would be great before you bring him up to the main roster. Then you bring Braun Breaker up to the main roster, and he can immediately feud for a mid-card belt. Immediately. Have him fight Austin Theory for the U.S. title immediately. After Mania, if either Sheamus or Drew are holding the IC belt, have him feud with Sheamus or Drew. Dude, you can do a lot with Braun Breaker in a short period of time after moving him up on the main roster. So I think Carmelo Hayes takes it, and Braun Breaker goes to the main roster. Main event. What should be the main event, unless the title match is the main event. I'm going off a Wikipedia thing that is listed like 1 to 7. I started at 7, went to 1. Johnny Gargano versus Grayson Waller. I'm predicting Grayson Waller because he should win. I mean, I could see Gargano winning, and then Grayson Waller coming up to the main roster to fight him on the main roster and being like, "Hey, I want my win back." But I could also see Waller winning and then going up to the main roster being like, "Haha, I beat you," and then continuing the feud on the main roster. What I would like is for someone in the back to convince Shawn Michaels that his last match shouldn't be the Saudi Arabia match and have a match with Grayson Waller, because that would be awesome. But I don't see that happening. I'm going with Grayson Waller to win because I like this new ruthless side of Grayson Waller they've been showing since he's gotten into this feud with Shawn. I really, really, really love how aggressive Grayson Waller has become. It adds to his character a lot, and I think I think whether he wins or loses, he's going to be one of the post-WrestleMania call-ups, unless they want to keep him in NXT to put the belt on him in a bit. Or put the North American title on him. Have him feud with have him feud with Dragon Lee for a little while after you put the belt on Dragon Lee, and then he can go back to the main roster around SummerSlam like Roxanne Perez. Boom, booking genius. Yeah, I see him being one of the call-ups post-Mania, whether he's on Raw or SmackDown. He could pop up on Raw. Like, if you have Braun Breaker popping up on SmackDown, you could have Waller pop up on Raw to feud for, not necessarily feud for the U.S. title, but maybe feuds with Gargano until the U.S. title goes on a babyface, and then you can have him feud for the U.S. title. But I think Grayson Waller is one of those guys who's main roster ready. And this match, I think, will go in a long way in proving that to the people who don't believe so. So, yeah, let's run it down real quick. Chase U versus Schism. I'm going with Schism. Gallus, I'm going with to defend the tag belts. Dragon Lee to win the North American Championship. Henley and James to defend their belts. Roxanne Perez to defend her belt. Carmelo Hayes to win the NXT Championship. And Grayson Waller to beat Johnny Gargano in the unsanctioned match. Yeah, those are my predictions. Let me know in the comments what your predictions for the show are, or just generally how you're feeling about some of these guys that are probably popping up after Mania, or how you're feeling about Mania weekend. Yeah, let me see if you agree with my prediction. If you don't agree with my predictions, just let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Be good, people, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.